Hello, I'm Corey Gilbert, owner of P3 Media Works.
And I'm Jessica Deahr, Artistic Director of Chicago Dance Crash.
Together, Dance Crash and P3 Media Works is doing a Kickstarter to fund the post-production of This Way Comes, a dance on film. So, Dance Crash and P3 Media Works are kindred spirits. That's how I always like to start the story. When you go see one of their shows, you feel like you're seeing a play or a movie built into dance. And so, being a filmmaker and being a storyteller myself, that further connects me with Dance Crash and who they are and who P3 Media Works is.
I don't want to give away too much because some of it you're supposed to figure out as it goes. But in its most basic sense, we follow a series of different characters going about their normal life, that there was something sort of like blowing through town that was affecting these people in certain ways.
They all end up meeting along the way of this new journey that their life goes on, and then from there, they start to recognize that even though they're very different people and they exist in very different lives, they have this one thing in common.
But I think the interesting thing about the styles of dance that we use in this has to do with how Crash is. We're a multidisciplinary company, so our dancers are trained in krump, capoeira, hip hop, modern, contemporary, jazz. So we were able to kind of we wanted each of these characters to really be in their own world and be different people and sort of have the viewer not sure how they come together. Corey had this stuff that we'd never even heard of before. The drone, well, drones of course you've heard of, but the Ronin, this sort of like steady cam that can be on a point where you can then suddenly like run with it. And so that gave us the ability to sort of make some of these elements characters in the story. Like this one specific camera shot or point of view is a character in the story.
We really wanted it to have this intentional fluidity, if that's a word, from dance to acting, but it's still very tangible, right? It wasn't dreamscapey, or at least for me, I didn't get lost in the narrative. I think there's a very strong narrative, but also in this very fantastical type of world.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it cool.
Tried to sort of come up with a middle ground that could get the best of the way I wanted my dancers to be shown, and also the best of the production value and the knowledge they have of how films work and how you get an audience invested. So we kind of tried to create our own beast. We always try to say our goal is that a seasoned dance critic or dance viewer will like the performance or the show or the film that we're doing, and so will someone off the street who's literally never seen dance before. We wanted every single moment to be something that like kept you enthralled the whole time. And that was really interesting in kind of how we picked the locations, right? Like we really went in and found some cool spots in Chicago.
And every story had its own separate narrative. So there's a condo, there's an office building, there's a log cabin in the middle of the woods, there's a club, there was a nightclub, right? We utilized the Damon Silos, which is an amazing location that's been used in films from the Transformers down to small films like ours, right?
That was the craziest location we had. And like we're not afraid to get our hands dirty, so it was like literally we'd pick the location and swipe away some empty beer cans, and then like Casey, we're just gonna shove you through this opening in the wall here. Like we really just made up that choreography to match that location because it was so dope. For
Dance Crash to go and make a dance film was just a natural evolution of who you guys are.
Yeah, we always joke that Dance Crash looks good on film, you know? Like we just have like a sort of athletic, dynamic style, and we specifically choose dancers that look different from each other, that aren't cookie cutters, that, I don't know, all have their own unique thing. So that lended itself really nicely to this project. Normally each summer, Crash does a big story-based summer production, right? And so we get grants for that. We have different ways of funding that. We've sort of become known for this formula, so it was definitely sort of a risk to void that area and actually just not do a summer production at all. And we took all the money that we would normally put into that show into this film. And of course that's not going to be enough on its own, because part of what funds a summer production is that we have a live audience coming and buying tickets for that show. So what we need to make that up for now, after the amount of money that we could put in, is to make up the rest of that money with our Kickstarter.
So after all the talk about the project, what we love, why we're excited about it, what's the big question? And that is, what do we need from you guys?
And if you're a normal person like me, you might have no idea how involved the post-production process can be. Yeah, I figured when the shooting was done, the brunt of our work was done, but it's actually quite the opposite. We're only about a quarter of the way through, and there's a long road in front of us.
Which is through post-production, and that includes editing, that includes music and score, that includes sound design, that includes graphics, and it also includes color correction. So there's many steps involved. We shot it in such a way where our editors can help tell the final story of how this is going to come together, both through the way they take our story and craft it together and weave together these multiple narratives, but then also in the look that they give it. And we shot it specifically so that it could have a look. That's another step in the post-production process. All that takes time, all it takes resources. We have a great project here. We have a great story. It's a very unique, very ambitious project. And once it gets through post-production and it becomes a living piece, it's going to be worth watching.
One of the major prizes, the best prize in my opinion, for funding us is that you get tickets to the premiere of the film, which we're really looking forward to. It's going to be in this really cool facility called the First Ward, the Chop Shop. And they have rock concerts, they have all sorts of different stuff there, and now they have a movie premiere. So it's going to be open bar, DJ, dancing, get to meet the cast, everyone involved in the film, and it's going to be awesome.
You guys took who you were as a dance company and said, let's keep it who we are in this film, right? And I think that's going to be what your audience is going to love about it, because they love who you guys are, and you stayed true to that in the film. But then, like you said, like a new person that's never heard of modern dance or maybe heard of Dance Crash specifically can come into a show like End of Line, right? Or watch this film and go, oh yeah, this company's cool.